Here's a question for you. What is the longest word you know? A lot of you probably said one of four things. Some of you may have said supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, a long word popularized by a song from the Mary Poppins movie. Others might have said this word, which you don't know how to pronounce, but you do know that it means the fear of long words, which is really ironic. A few of you might have said pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis, which is a lung disease caused by inhaling fine ash or dust. And finally, a few of you may have said this word, which is 189,000 letters long and takes a whole 3 hours to pronounce. But in reality, none of those are correct. Well, the latter two are correct by some definitions, but that's just it. It depends on how you define a word. So let's break this down. Let's say we're sticking strictly to English dictionary words. We're talking words that you could expect to find in a dictionary. Even if it isn't in all dictionaries, as long as you would expect to see it in at least a few, it counts. By that definition, the longest word would be pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis with 45 letters. Kind of. Because it came to my knowledge that this super long word with 52 letters also exists. Aqueosalino-calcolino-ceracio-luminoso-cupriovitriolic. And that word does technically fit our definition of most likely being in at least a few dictionaries, but it feels kind of fake. Let me explain. This word was actually invented by a guy called Dr. Edward Strother, and he invented the word to describe spa waters in some town in England. So, does this mean that it isn't a real word? Nobody is really sure. And let me remind you that this is only the top layer of why nobody knows the longest word. So let's go further down the iceberg. The next thing down is, what if we included the names of chemical compounds? No, I'm not talking about stuff like these, the short double-worded ones. I'm talking about stuff like this, the long single-worded ones. For those of you who don't know, a chemical compound is where more than one atom link together to create a more complex thing or substance or whatever. Different atoms of different types can bond together to make all kinds of things, from water with 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, to salt with a sodium and a chlorine atom, to sugar with 12 carbon atoms, 22 hydrogen atoms, and 11 oxygen atoms. So this inclusion of new words leads us to discover the chemical composition of Titan, the aforementioned 189,819 letter word I mentioned near the start of the video, which looks like this. Yeah, good luck to anyone trying to pronounce that. It'll take you about 3 hours. But if you think about this for a moment, doesn't this mean that there would be an infinite number of words? Because atoms can stick to each other in many different ways to an infinite extent. So if you think about it, we're technically allowing an infinite number of words into our dictionary here. And those words can go on to be infinite in length. So in that case, there is no longest word. But even still, there is another layer of the iceberg right below, and that layer is the names of numbers. Let me educate you on how the names of large numbers work. Let's take the number a billion as an example. You may notice, bi means 2, so saying billion is like saying 2 illion. Now let's go up 3 orders of magnitude to a trillion. Again, you may notice, tri means 3. So saying trillion is like saying 3 illion. The same goes for quadrillion being like 4 illion, quintillion being like 5 illion, and so on. These names actually have a pattern. Here's the table of the prefixes that make up the name of a large number. Let's say you wanted to make 25 illion. The prefix for 5 is quin, and the prefix for 20 is vigin, so 25 illion would be quinvigintillion. If you wanted to make 67 illion, because the funny number, the prefix for 7 is septum, and the prefix for 60 is sexagen. So 67 illion would be septum sexagentillion. I think you get the idea. This pattern continues until 999 illion, novum nonagenta nongentillion. After that, you go to a millenillion. For every 3 orders of magnitude you add to the exponent of 10, you add another ILLI into the mix. So then 1001 illion is millimillion, 1002 illion is millibillion, 1003 illion is millitrillion, and so on until you get to 2000 2000 illion. 2000 illion is billion. So then 2001 illion would be billion, 2002 illion would be billion, and I think you probably get the picture by now. So then, with this pattern in mind, let's see what the longest name is. Now, just to clarify, the name of the number 1 million is 2 words. However, the single word in that name, million, is just 1, and that's what I'm counting here. I'm just trying to find the longest single word in a number's name. Now, if I did my math right, the smallest number with a word in its name longer than that aforementioned chemical composition of Titan name is quatuor quinquagenta quadrangentilla quatuor quinquagenta quadrangentilla quatuor quinquagenta quadrangentilla quatuor decillion. If I did my math right, that number is 10 to the power of 1,362 to the power of 5,424 plus 45. Now that is a massive number, but the same logic for why including chemical compositions is unethical applies here too. If we're going to include numbers, which go on forever, doesn't that mean we would be including an infinite number of words? Most dictionaries only include up to vigintillion, or 20 illion, in number names, which makes sense, because if they included all number names, their dictionary would be infinite, and therefore unable to be stored in the cloud and incomprehensibly large. Taking all of these into account is simply not possible. So now let's recap. By any definition, pneumano-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis is a pretty long word, and it would be the longest if you don't consider aqueous-seleno-calcolino-ceratio-luminoso-cupreo-vitriolic to be a real word. There could also be some other words whose reality is debatable that I haven't seen before, but if you include chemical compounds names and/or number names as words, there would be an infinite number of words in your dictionary, and there would be an infinite length cap within those words. And that is why nobody knows what the longest English word is. Thanks for watching. By the way, this is the first video I'm uploading to this channel, so if you want to support, please like and subscribe. I'll make more content like this, so if you liked this video, you'll definitely like the videos I have planned. Okay, thanks for watching, and have a good day.